My name's Simon Wallace. I'm the head teacher of Barnacre Road Primary School, and I was the creator and director of this production, Forget Me Not.
It was a history lesson with a bit of drama. Hundreds of pupils in Preston brought the story of World War II to life. They took to the stage to remember those who fell in battle.
When I told people what I was trying to do, they looked at me like I was completely stark, staring mad. That included my colleagues, so that they couldn't really see what was going on inside my head. And the more I tried to explain it, they just thought it was impossible, really. But they went along with it. The army themselves were sort of interested, but didn't really understand what I was trying to do. And it was only once it had happened that it really sort of people understood what I'd been trying to produce, what I was trying to do with the actual project itself.
And the children of today remember generations gone by. Hundreds get together for an act of wartime remembrance.
It was pretty massive. There were 500 people, nearly 500 pupils who participated. There were 13 schools, 2 high schools and some children from a special school. I think what I wanted to do was to make a connection with younger children, and more importantly, younger children to make a connection with their own families, ask those questions about what role, because everyone had a role to play in the Second World War. Everyone's families were involved in one way or another.
How do you engage young people in something that seems a long, long way back in the past? And the way that they became totally immersed in it was absolutely sensational. No child that took part in that could now not be aware of the impact of war and what a terrible problem it remains for us all. And it's part of their larger education. They will remember this for the rest of their lives. And that is a lot better learning history that way than in a dry old book in a classroom.
I firmly believe in teaching through practical work, children learning by doing. I think I wanted to showcase what really good education is about.
What was Mr. Wallace like in rehearsals?
Shouty in a good way, like very excited.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Call it enthusiastic, I think is the. But because he was enthusiastic, then
it made all
of us feel enthusiastic as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to cross this line. I'm just going to be like this round. Come on, fully, up on your feet.
When the children were lined up ready to go into the hall, they were lined up 4 abreast. And every time we did it, the children ended up in a different position, and they were given a number 1, 2, 3 or 4. And depending on what number they had, that dictated whether they were going to be a survivor, whether they were going to be wounded, or whether they were going to die in the big battle scene on the floor of the hall. Because every time they went in, they could be the one that was dead. There was no guarantees. Everybody who went through that door into the hall, it was like they were going off to war itself. And every time they did it, then what happened to them changed.
I'd originally gone for some lottery funding and been rejected, and it was going to cost over £40,000 to put on. And I thought, crumbs, and I was committed. But actually I went out to the community and sold the idea, and we got a lot of sponsorship from the community itself. And then last of all from the Covenant, Community Covenant, that came in literally the week before we were due to go on, so that was a huge relief. Normally when you do a school play or a production, you might get the odd card saying, well done, we really enjoyed it. But literally the following day, I've never experienced anything like it. I've received dozens of emails, letters, cards from people I don't know, I've no idea who they were, just saying the impact it had on them. I just did it because I wanted to do it, and I thought it was good education, but I just wasn't expecting that impact. And I think also it seemed to galvanise the town of Longridge and got a huge conversation going and seemed to pull the town together. It was I think a very uplifting experience for those people who'd been to watch it. Because
of the Forget Me Not performance, one of the things I did was I took children next door to the old people's home, and we had practice filming, they prepared interviews, and so we went round and interviewed some of the elderly residents there. Some of them were evacuated here as children, and so we gathered their stories, what actually happened to them, and that made things so much more real for the children to actually have that contact with the survivors of World War II in their eyes. They respected them, they understood a little bit about what they'd been through, because obviously the work we'd done in class and for the project, And so the children were very, very respectful to these elderly people.
It could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. And I think taking risks in education is a really exciting way of learning, and you'll be surprised at what you can achieve if you have a go.